Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping straight into personality. Specifically, what makes some people just seem to naturally draw others in?
It's fascinating stuff.
It really is. And consider this statistic. Judgments are made within the first 7 seconds of meeting someone.
7 seconds. That's incredibly fast.
Right. And get this, a staggering 93% of that initial impression isn't even about the words you use, it's nonverbal.
Wow. 93%.
So it makes you think, have you ever felt like you're just, I don't know, not quite connecting, maybe blending into the background when you'd rather be noticed?
That feeling is so common. Feeling invisible in social settings.
Yeah.
It actually points to something really important we found in the material for today.
Which is,
That an attractive personality isn't some, magic thing you're born with. It's built
felt how?
through actionable habits,
Yeah.
things that people have actually tested, observed with thousands of individuals. It's learnable.
Okay, that's empowering. And that's exactly what this deep dive is all about. We want to unpack these habits, understand why they work.
And crucially, how you, the listener, can start putting them into practice.
Exactly, to build that more magnetic personality. So let's kick things off. Our source talks about something called the social invisibility trap.
Ah, yes, the invisibility trap. It really captures a modern problem, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, with so much interaction being digital now, maybe we get fewer chances for that real-world social practice. It can become a cycle.
A cycle of feeling unseen.
Yeah, which then makes it harder to develop those skills.
Yeah.
You see some people walk into a room and they just connect effortlessly.
While others, maybe just as talented or kind, they struggle with those first few moments.
Precisely.
So what holds people back? Our material points to three key barriers creating this invisibility. First up, fear of judgment.
Ooh, that's a big one. That little voice inside.
Mm-hmm. The one worrying about what everyone else is thinking.
Yeah, that internal critic. It can be paralyzing, like a self-imposed muzzle, almost.
And that leads right into the second barrier, doesn't it? A lack of social skills?
Well, yes, but it's not usually about some fundamental inability. It's more often that the skills just haven't been developed.
Because of avoidance.
Exactly.
Right.
If that fear keeps you on the sidelines, you just don't get the practice, the repetitions you need to feel comfortable.
Makes sense. And then the third barrier kind of piles on negative self-talk.
Right. That constant inner monologue just chipping away, pointing out every perceived flaw, undermining your confidence.
And these three things, they're not separate issues, are they?
Not at all. They feed each other. The material shows this really tight, self-reinforcing loop.
Okay, break that down.
So fear of judgment leads to avoidance,
Right, staying home instead of going out.
which means less practice. So maybe your social skills feel rusty, they deteriorate a bit.
Which then hits your confidence.
Exactly. Lowers your confidence,
Yeah.
which amps up the negative self-talk.
Say, I knew I'd be awkward.
Precisely. And that just makes the original fear of judgment even stronger next time. It's a cycle.
A vicious cycle, like you said. And the costs add up over time, don't they?
Definitely. The source really highlights this.
Think about maybe holding back in a key meeting. Maybe missing a promotion opportunity because you didn't speak up.
Or leaving parties early, missing chances to make real friends.
Or those networking events, feeling too awkward to approach anyone, lost connections, lost opportunities.
Does any of that sound familiar to you? Listening, it resonates with a lot of people.
And there's an interesting point here about where our focus goes. How does being self-conscious actually sabotage things?
Well, it's about where your mental energy is directed. If you're totally fixated on yourself, how am I coming across, what should I say? You're not actually present in the interaction.
You're stuck in your head.
Exactly. Your attention is all inward on the anxiety instead of outward on connecting with the other person. It creates awkwardness.
And this internal state, it can trigger real physical responses, right? Something about the amygdala.
Yes, the amygdala is like the brain's alarm system for emotions, especially fear.
So, in social situations.
It can get hyperactive, particularly if you're introverted or anxious. It basically triggers that ancient fight-or-flight response.
Even if there's no actual danger.
Right. Your body thinks there's a threat. Now, the prefrontal cortex, the rational part of the brain, can manage this.
But it takes conscious effort.
It does. You have to actively engage it to calm things down.
So your body can be freaking out, even when you intellectually know it's fine. And then there's social comparison.
Oh, that's a huge one today. especially with social media.
Constantly measuring ourselves against others, scrolling through feeds, or even just looking around a room.
And it's almost always damaging, isn't it? It just erodes self-esteem.
Reinforces those feelings of not being good enough.
Yeah, it feeds right back into that invisibility trap. Every time you compare and feel like you fall short, it gives your inner critic more fuel.
It solidifies that belief, I'm not good enough.
And that can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you expect to be awkward, you often act in ways that make it happen. Leads to more withdrawal.
And these thoughts, they don't just stay as thoughts. They show up physically.
Absolutely. That racing heart before you have to speak.
Sweaty palms when you feel watched.
Or that awful moment your mind just goes blank.
The worst.
And what's frustrating, as the source notes, is this can happen even if you know your stuff intellectually.
Your body's just on a different wavelength.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Sending out these little nervousness signals that other people pick up on, even subconsciously.
Our source quotes a behavioral expert, defining shyness as, let me get this right, the fear of being judged and the belief that one is not good enough.
That's a great definition.
And it leads to trying to be perfect, which just stops you from connecting authentically.
It really shows how much is driven by our internal perception, not necessarily reality.
But there's hope. The source says there's a way out. It needs a fundamental shift.
A shift in focus.
Away from self towards others, recognizing that magnetic people aren't obsessed with their own image.
No, they're the ones who make other people feel seen and heard. That's the key.
And there's a practical tool for this shift. The 75-25 conversation rule.
Ah, yes. Simple but powerful.
Explain that one.
Okay, so the guideline is aim to spend about 75% of your conversation time actively listening.
And only 25% speaking.
Right. It immediately forces your focus outwards. You stop worrying so much about what you're going to say next.
And start actually tuning in to the other person.
Exactly. You're invested in understanding them.
And the paradox is that makes you more engaging.
Totally. Because when you're focused on understanding their thoughts, experiences, perspective, you naturally ask better questions.
So you show genuine interest.
Which makes them feel valued. It subtly shifts the power dynamic. It's not about impressing anymore. It's about connecting through understanding.
Okay, so shifting focus outward, listening more, that's huge. But words are only part of it. Our source emphasizes body language.
The silent language. It's critical because, as we said at the start, it forms such a huge part of that first impression.
And people trust what they see more than what they hear.
Often, yes. The material suggests it's a more primal, subconscious level of communication.
And judgments based on it are made fast. Milliseconds, apparently.
Unbelievably fast. We're assessing confidence, trustworthiness, even status, almost instantly.
Like an old survival mechanism.
Kind of. It's
Yeah.
always running in the background. And here's the danger. Inconsistency.
What do you mean?
When your words say one thing, I'm confident, but your body says another fidgeting, no eye contact.
It creates a mismatch.
Exactly. It triggers subconscious alarm bells in the other person.
Mm-hmm.
They might not know why they feel uneasy, but they sense something's off.
Okay, so let's get practical. The source outlines 5 common body language mistakes. First, closed palm gestures.
Right. Things like talking with your palms facing down all the time or clenching your fists.
What does that signal?
It can come across as dominant, maybe a bit restrictive, or closed off.
Right.
Creates a subtle barrier.
And the alternative?
Open palms. Think about influential speakers. They often use open palm gestures. It signals approachability, sincerity, openness. Small change, big impact.
Makes sense. Number 2, misalignment of feet and chest. This sounds subtle.
It is subtle, but telling. Our bodies tend to orient towards what we're really interested in.
So even if my torso is facing you.
If your feet are pointing towards the door or the buffet table, like in the source's example,
Right.
it sends a subconscious signal that you want to disengage or leave. The other person might feel less valued, even if they don't consciously register why.
Our feet betray us. Okay, third mistake. Negative microexpressions, like random shoulder shrugs.
Exactly. Those tiny, fleeting, often unconscious movements. A random shrug can signal uncertainty or doubt, even if your words are confident.
What else falls under this?
Nervous habits. Fidgeting with hands, playing with hair, that kind of stuff. It just reads as lack of confidence.
Got it. Number 4, personal space violations. This feels tricky.
It is because comfort zones vary. But the source mentions Edward T. Hall's zones: intimate, personal, social, public.
And the key is context.
Absolutely. What's fine on a crowded train is way too close for a job interview, or maybe too far for a date.
So you need to read the situation and the person's cues.
Definitely. Too close feels intrusive. Too far feels distant or disinterested. Pay attention.
And the fifth mistake, eye contact errors. Finding the balance.
Yes, the source suggests a 60-40 rule as a guideline. Eye contact about 60% of the time. Look away briefly for the other 40%.
Because too much is intense.
Can feel aggressive or judgmental. Yeah.
Yeah.
But too little looks dishonest or just plain uninterested.
And the tip is like a 3-second hold.
Around that, yeah. Enough to connect, but not so long it becomes a stare down.
Wow. These seem like small things, but the source argues they have high stakes.
Huge stakes. Lost job opportunities, awkward dates, missed connections, all potentially happening before you said much of substance.
Have you ever felt an interaction was just off, but couldn't say why? Maybe it's some of this stuff.
Very possibly. It's often these subtle nonverbals, but here's the really cool part.
Go on.
Changing your body language doesn't just change how others see you, it can actually change your own internal chemistry.
Really? How? The source mentions docet hormones.
Yeah. Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, testosterone. Adopting more confident postures, standing taller, shoulders back.
Power posing, kind of.
Sort of, but even just generally open, confident posture. It can stimulate the release of these chemicals associated with pleasure, bonding, well-being, confidence.
So standing confident makes you feel more confident.
Exactly. It creates this amazing positive feedback loop. Better posture leads to feeling better, which reinforces the better posture.
That's fantastic. So to quickly recap the positive adjustments, open palms, align feet and chest generally, cut down nervous fidgeting, respect personal space, aim for that balanced 60-40 eye contact.
Right. And you'll likely feel better internally, too.
But posture isn't everything for connection, is it?
No, it sets the stage, but you need more for real connection. That brings us to what the source calls the connection chemistry formula.
Love that name. Okay, so beyond confidence, how do we create that spark? The goal is making people feel valued, right?
Deeply valued. And the formula have 3 core pillars: strategic vulnerability, active interest, and name mastery.
Let's break those down. Pillar 1, strategic vulnerability. Sounds a bit risky.
It can feel that way, but it's powerful when done right. It means intentionally sharing appropriate personal things, insights, experiences, maybe minor flaws.
Why does that work?
Reciprocity. It's a psychological principle. When you genuinely open up a little, it creates trust and safety, making the other person more likely to share in return.
It moves things beyond small talk.
Precisely. Like sharing a work challenge you overcame, or a modest personal goal. Shows you're human, relatable.
But the source warns against oversharing, right?
Absolutely critical distinction. Don't dump major traumas on a first meeting or spill other people's secrets. That destroys trust.
So be selective, authentic, and appropriate for this stage of the relationship.
Nailed it. Build trust gradually.
Okay, pillar 2. Active interest. You mentioned the Me Too syndrome earlier.
Yes, that reflex we have. Someone shares something and we immediately jump in with, oh, me too. One time
We make it about ourselves. Have you caught yourself doing it? Or noticed others?
Oh, constantly. In myself and others. It feels natural sometimes, like you're trying to relate.
But the source says it kills connection.
Often, yes. Because the person sharing doesn't feel truly heard. Their story gets hijacked, in a way.
So the fix is active listening again?
Active listening for details you can explore. Instead of, me too, ask an open-ended question. What drew you to that? Tell me more about.
Show genuine curiosity about their experience.
Right. Feeling truly heard is rare and incredibly valuable.
And having diverse interests yourself helps here too.
Definitely. Charismatic people are often just genuinely curious about lots of things. Not experts, just interested.
So they can connect with more people on different topics.
Exactly. They can find bridges. The source even suggests learning about, say, 3 new random things a month.
Like Arabic coffee or urban architecture or butterfly migration.
Whatever. It just broadens your world, gives you more ways to connect, shows you're curious.
Fun tip. Okay, pillar 3. Name mastery. Seems simple but important.
Deceptively simple. Hugely important. Remembering and using someone's name. It's a powerful recognition signal.
Why is it so powerful?
Our names are tied so deeply to our identity. Hearing your name actually activates specific parts of your brain related to self-perception.
It makes you feel noticed, seen.
In a world where it's easy to feel overlooked, yes. It says, you matter enough for me to remember.
And the technique. Associate the name with a feature or connection.
That's a classic technique that works for many. Find some hook when you first hear it.
And then use the name?
Naturally, yes. Not excessively, but weave it in. That's fascinating, Sarah. Good point, David. It makes a real difference.
Okay, so strategic vulnerability, active interest, name mastery, powerful stuff. But what if deep down, shyness is still the big block? The source has an exercise for that.
Yes, the fear fantasy exercise. It's very practical.
How does it work?
You actually sit down and write out the specific negative judgments you fear others are making about you.
Get them out of your head and onto paper.
Exactly. Just seeing them written down can sometimes reduce their power, makes them less
What?
nebulous.
Man.
Then you challenge them critically.
Yeah.
Is this fear based on actual evidence? Or is it just my inner critic running wild?
You dissect the fear.
Yeah, externalize it, question it. It helps dismantle those negative beliefs that fuel the shyness and block connection.
We have covered so much ground here. From the invisibility trap to body language secrets to this connection chemistry.
It's a lot of valuable insight. And to help listeners actually do something with it, the source offers one more technique. They call it the billion-dollar habit.
Okay. Intrigued. What's the billion-dollar habit?
Task bracketing.
Task bracketing. It's a super simple, 30-second visualization trick.
For 30 seconds, tell me more.
Before you practice one of these new skills, say focusing on open body language in a meeting, or really applying that 7-5-25 listening rule,
Yeah.
you take 30 seconds. First, vividly imagine any resistance or awkwardness you might feel starting it. Acknowledge the hurdle.
Okay, anticipate the discomfort. Then immediately follow that by vividly imagining the feeling of satisfaction and accomplishment after you've done it.
Ah, the reward.
Exactly. You bracket the task, mentally acknowledge the potential difficulty, then instantly focus on the positive outcome. It creates this strong motivation loop.
Helps push through the initial awkwardness by focusing on the payoff. I like that.
It's very effective for building habits. And the big takeaway from all this, your personality isn't fixed.
It's not set in stone.
Not at all. It's a skill set. It can be developed, refined through conscious effort and practice.
Those people we admire for their charisma.
They likely weren't just born that way. They worked on it. They learned, practiced, adapted over time.
So the call to action for everyone listening.
Pick one thing, just one technique from today that resonated.
Maybe the 7-5-2-5 rule?
Or focusing on eye contact.
Or trying that name association trick?
Whatever it is, start small, experiment with it. Every big change starts with one step.
That's the key. Deliberate practice.
And remember what the source implies. Your future self.
The more connected, confident, engaging version.
That self is waiting for you to take that first step.
Great final thought. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.
My pleasure.
Until our next exploration.